this couldn't be a Tarantino video without a bunch of feet. So, respectfully, humbly, here is a montage of Tarantino movie feet. What up, guys, and welcome to the Flopbuster Movie Show YouTube channel. Today I am ranking all of the Quentin Tarantino movies. Tarantino is one of my favorite directors, probably next to Martin Scorsese, so without further ado, let's get on to this list. Alright, first film on the list is Death Proof with Kurt Russell. This is part of the Grindhouse double feature. I really like this movie. I know it's not for everybody, but I totally get what Tarantino's going for. And on repeat viewings, it's honestly my favorite of the two films. I love Planet Terror. But what Tarantino does with the slasher exploitation genre, especially set in this 1970s era, works so well. The girls are perfect. And Stuntman Mike, I mean, you can watch him eat nachos all day, and it doesn't get gross. If anything, it just makes you really hungry for nachos. This is a controversial one, all right? I know people love this movie. I love this movie. It is a little bit lower on the list because I feel like at this point, Tarantino is showing us what he's capable of, but it is not the best of what he can do, and that is Reservoir Dogs. A great feature film debut. I love the cast. Tim Roth is incredible, but it's Harvey Keitel that completely owns this movie. Michael Madsen is also, obviously, scene stealer, one of the greatest scenes in movie history. I love this movie. Not nearly one of my favorite Tarantino movies, but man, I can't think of a better feature film debut, honestly. Out of the gate, this is the movie poster that most college film bros have hanging up next to American Psycho and Boondock Saints, so Reservoir Dogs. Alright, next film on the list is The Hateful Eight. I saw this during the road show with my mom in a packed theater, and I actually sat next to an old couple who was huge Tarantino fans. They told me that they've been to every Tarantino movie since Pulp Fiction, and they were excited. This was a treat, because I was sitting with fellow people who loved Quentin Tarantino. We had that intermission, and the audience was talking with each other. It was communal, because we're wondering, what's going to happen next? What's going to happen next? The cast is incredible from top to bottom. Jennifer Jason Leigh, Sam Jackson, Walton Goggins, who I'm a huge fan of on TV with Vice Principals. I love this guy. He's so hilarious. He's so funny. Uncle Baby Billy, obviously, should be Freddy Krueger. He is great. Him and Sam Jackson have the best back and forth. A great little cameo by Channing Tatum. Ennio Morricone music in there, some unused music from The Thing. Really dig this one a whole lot. Next film on the list is Jackie Brown. I wish I could put this one higher, and I feel like it should go higher, because on repeat viewing, this movie gets better and better for me. It's the most heartfelt Tarantino movie. It's based off the Elmore Leonard novel. This is a great double feature with Out of Sight, by the way, which is one of my favorite movies of all time. I love Jackie Brown. Pam Grier is so good. Robert Forster is the MVP of this movie as Max Cherry. One of my favorite movie characters. Again, so heartfelt. The Delphonics, Bridget Fonda, everybody from top to bottom is hilarious and cool and suave, but it's different flavors of Tarantino. It's him toned back, and it was the perfect movie at this point in time for him to put out there. And it's really like, hey, I can do more than the Pulp Fiction thing or the cool guy thing with Reservoir Dogs. Here's a heartfelt crime story about a flight attendant, and it is so, so good. Next one on the list is Django Unchained. This is a film that I saw when I got my wisdom teeth pulled in high school. I was so jacked and pumped to see this. I went with my mom and my younger brother. The theater was hooting and hollering the entire time. It is epic. It is great. This almost plays out like a Quentin Tarantino superhero film. Christoph Waltz is awesome in this. Jamie Foxx, stellar. Sam Jackson, maybe one of his best performances ever. Leo DiCaprio is insane. Don Johnson, I mean, it is such a good cast. The action sequences are so cool. That Tupac collaboration that they throw in there in the final act is really, really awesome. But this movie has so much bloodshed. It almost gives Kill Bill a run for its money in some ways, but I love Django. It's a movie I could throw on. I love showing it to people. It's one of his most accessible movies, too, because it's told in a very clear-cut fashion. So, Django Unchained. Alright, the next movie on the list is the two-parter saga Kill Bill Volume 1 and 2. I'm going to consider it as one whole movie, since Tarantino does. If you want to know which I think is better than the other, honestly, if you would have asked 12-year-old me, I would have said Volume 1. But in hindsight, I loved the second volume. I think it's such a cool conclusion. The stuff with Bill is well worth the wait, and the backstory, the origin, it's perfect. It's so cool, and there's an actual heart to the bride. You get the reason why she's compelled to commit this act of vengeance against everybody who's done her wrong. But the Kill Bill saga is such a great introduction to Tarantino. That's how I was introduced to Tarantino. My parents rented these movies. We went to my grandmother's house, and it is like a Saturday morning kung fu cartoon. I love the Kill Bill movies. I just showed my fiance the first one, and she loved it, Volume 1. So, Kill Bill, Volume 1 and 2. This movie, I think, might actually be Tarantino's best written film, and I know it's one that he considers maybe his best movie. That is Inglourious Bastards. He was so precious about the page. It took him decades to write this. It took him like 10 years, I think. Something like that. Adam Sandler was at one point possibly attached. That would have been cool as the Bear Jew. But this is a film that I was pumped for when I was in middle school. Begged my mom to take me. It was great. And it just gets better with age. Christoph Waltz is the one that everybody talks about. Well worthy of that Oscar nomination. That Oscar win. Brad Pitt, one of my favorite roles that he's ever done. This film is filled with so much tension. The bar scene is A+ Tarantino stuff. So, Inglourious Bastards. So, number 1 and 2, I was internally struggling with which one was going to be at the top spot. I made a last-second decision because reasons. And number 2 is Pulp Fiction. This is the movie that really just made me want to be a screenwriter, made me want to go to film school, be involved with film in any which way possible. And it's still, in my eyes, a masterpiece. It's a movie that I go back to and watch as comfort, and I still love it the way I did when I first saw it. But it got knocked out. And it took me a while, but there's a reason why. And my number 1 spot is Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. I saw this movie at least 5 times in theaters, 3 times digital, twice projected in 35mm at the Alamo Drafthouse, and I couldn't get this movie out of my head all summer long of 2019. Every moment replays, and there's this quality to it, that there's this warmth to it, and it's probably Tarantino's most heartfelt film since Jackie Brown. There's a real heart to the story with Cliff and Rick, and I love the scenes with Margot Robbie as Sharon Tate. She doesn't have to have a lot to say in this movie because she doesn't need to say a lot. Everything with her, you're hanging out with her, you understand what she was going through in those moments, and she's one of the unsung great Quentin Tarantino characters. I love what they did with Sharon Tate in this. I love that third act. I love that this is just one giant hangout movie in 1960s Hollywood at the end of the golden age. So, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood is probably one of my favorite movies of all time now, and every year I go back and I rewatch it, and I probably see it twice a year at this point since seeing it. So I've seen this movie at least 10 to 15 times. Anyway, guys, let me know what you think. What is your ranking of all the Tarantino movies? What is your absolute favorite Tarantino moment? There's so much to talk about. What's his 10th movie gonna be? It's gonna be his last film, from what we know. I have no idea what it's gonna be. I heard, he might have done Star Trek, or he was supposed to be involved with a Django Zorro spinoff. So, I don't know what it can be. Once Upon a Time in Hollywood kind of already feels like a swan song, so your guess is as good as mine. Let me know in the comments below. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe, share, and we'll see you every Thursday on the main show. Thank you all for supporting, and we'll see you next time.